This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
It has been said that when in the course of human events, an oppression so revolts its subject that it becomes necessary to alter or abolish the means of that tyranny. Is it that time when our Bill of Rights is defiled every day? When our adventures abroad threaten our security at home? When the Federal Reserve keeps our free nation enslaved by debt? When the people of the world tremble under the thumb of corporate imperialism? And now, our nation is drifting dangerously from freedom to fascism. So I have to ask, is it time?
And now, from the luxurious albino raccoon recording studios located in the Midwestern heart of America, it's the Last Voice for Liberty Network. And here's your host, The Mouth.
Greetings and salutations to all my fellow patriots. It is time. The Last Voice for Liberty Network back here on the air once again, the 23rd day of January 2013. I am your host, The Mouth, here laughing and scratching at you. Got some information for you today. We're going to get away from what the mainstream media and everyone else in the world is talking about. We're not going to talk about the gun issue or Jackass's second inauguration or any of that bullshit. I mean, you're not going to hear us talk about Mr. Armstrong or Mr. fucking what's his stupid face with the fake girlfriend, because I think that that's highly irrelevant in this country. It's foolish, number one, to even dedicate time like this. And if you check out our blogspot, Last Voice for Liberty at blogspot.com, you'll see the article that we wrote about this crap and how ridiculous it is in this point in time to be spending any amount of time covering these subjects when there are more important things going on.
Are you off your fucking meds or something?
That having been said, folks, we're going to educate you a little bit today on the Social Security program and the history of Social Security. A lot of you people, everybody carries legal person carries a Social Security card around. And do you even know why? Now, theoretically, we all pay into Social Security as taxpayers. We pay into Social Security, and theoretically, we're supposed to get that money back. That's what it was intended for. We're going to go through the history of the Social Security card, because I know that there's a lot of my fellow patriots out there just at the beginning of this year who all of a sudden noticed that their paychecks got a lot lower. And that Social Security tax is actually something that went up on everybody. They said they weren't raising the taxes on the middle class and lower class people. They did. Because they let Social Security tax increase 2%, folks. 2% more of your check is going into the Social Security fund. Which should really piss you off, because the Social Security benefits don't even match the amount of money that you put in. They don't. They're significantly less.
No, it's bullshit, bro.
Now, just in case some of you young whippersnappers, and I know there's a lot of you out there, and some of you older ones, people that are even older than myself, don't know about this stuff. It's real easy to check out. You can, if you're not going to believe what I'm telling you here today, go ahead and look it up on the Social Security Administration website. Double check me. I always encourage all my listeners and everyone who follows our Facebook page and everywhere else that we're at, all our social media, double check us. Okay? Get on there and say, I don't know about this mouth son of a bitch talking about blee this and blee. I'm going to get up and check him out. And if I'm wrong, get on our page and tell us. Show us how we're wrong. Because we're all about, if we're wrong, we'll admit it right here. I'll put it out on YouTube and everywhere else. And the title of the show will be, We Were Wrong.
Because I really want to be wrong. Especially when it comes to a lot of this crap. But unfortunately, I keep getting proven right. And all those that naysay me as the debate goes on until I am proven right, then all of a sudden have nothing to say. Not even, folks, be, a stand-up person. When you're wrong, admit that you're wrong. And have the courage and the guts to go to the person who you debated against and had ended up being proven right. Go to that person and tell them, hey, you're right, I was wrong.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
I don't want to say be man enough to do it, but that's, for lack of a better term, be man enough to do it, Yeah! You would not believe how much better you feel when you admit that you're wrong, and how much easier it is to apply. And you start doing this in these little arguments here and apply it to the rest of your life, man. It's very simple. And you feel so much better. You don't have that burden of, God damn it, I'm a fool.
Oh, you made a wise choice, my friend.
You go out, you openly admit, hey, I was wrong, but I'm glad that somebody is around to help point me out towards the right direction. Not only do they feel better about, hey, he understands and is agreeing and we're getting through to each other, but B, you feel better. Because you know and you openly admit to everyone else that, hey, I'm learning. And that makes me feel good.
Holy shit, motherfucking Yoda and shit.
We're going to learn you a little bit today about, and maybe you can help pass this stuff on. Now, cards up until the 1980s for Social Security expressly stated the number and the card were not to be used at all for identification purposes. Now, since nearly everyone in the United States now has a number, it became convenient to use it anyway, and the message not for identification was removed. My teenage years, I ended up losing my Social Security card under a bridge on a bunch of heavy acid. But
you mean we're smoking dog shit, man?
I do remember that it was put right on there, not for identification. Now, an old Social Security card with the not for identification message have all been transferred and renewed and removed, okay? Now, Franklin Roosevelt, the Democrat, of course, everybody, we all know who FDR is, introduced the Social Security FICA program. Now, he promised, number one, that participation in this program would be completely voluntary. It's not voluntary anymore, is it, folks?
You dick!
He also promised, number two, that the participants would only have to pay 1% of the first $1,400 of their annual incomes into the program. Now it's 7.65%. Actually, it's 9.65% now. That's right, folks. 9.65% on the first $90,000.
That's fucked up.
Did anybody tell me what's wrong with that picture there? Now, the money, he also promised that the money that participants elected to put into the program, remember, it was still voluntary, they would be deductible from their income tax purposes each year. It's no longer tax deductible, folks. Your Social Security input is not tax deductible anymore. Number four, he promised that the money that participants put in went to the independent trust fund rather into the general operating fund, and therefore would only be used to fund the Social Security retirement program and no other government program. And then under President Johnson, the money was moved to the general fund and spent. So, the whole purpose of this program was to help citizens put a cushion for retirement away.
Something stinks like stale French fries.
And not to be set into the general fund to be spent by the government. The government wasn't supposed to spend any of our Social Security money at all. But they did. President Roosevelt also promised that the annuity payments to the retirees would never be taxed as income. Now, under Bill Clinton and Al Gore, up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. 85%!
Senator McCluskey,
Tell them what time it is. Since many of us have paid into FICA for years and are now receiving Social Security checks every month, and then finding that we're getting taxed on 85% of the money that we paid to the federal government to put away, we were already taxed on that once, folks. They're double taxing us.
I'm sorry, Tyler. It was an accident. I was having too much fun.
If this isn't pissing people off yet, I don't know what to tell you. Because my blood's boiling. It's ridiculous. I'm getting double taxed on it. You're going to tax me on 85% of the money that I put away? Shut the fuck up! Now, you may be interested to know some of the following. We got a little question and answer session here. The question goes, which political party took Social Security from the Independent Trust Fund and put it into the general fund so that Congress could spend it? That would be Lyndon Johnson and the democratically controlled House and Senate. Is anyone surprised that it's the Democrats that wanted to put this in there so they can spend it? To grow government, of course. You know, the next question, which political party eliminated the income tax deduction for Social Security withholding? That would be the Democratic Party. Which political party started taxing Social Security annuities? The Democratic Party, with Al Gore. Everybody's favorite, environmentalist, Al Gore, cast the tie-breaking deciding vote as president of the Senate while he was vice president of the United States to tax Social Security annuities.
Scotty dog.
That's right. It's your Democratic Party. And all these favorites, And next question. Which political party decided to start giving annuity payments to immigrants?
Wait!
That's right, folks. Social Security payments to immigrants who haven't been citizens. They didn't have to be citizens that long. They started getting Social Security benefits. That's right. It was Jimmy Carter and the Democratic Party decided that giving annuity payments to immigrants was a good idea. So therefore, another incentive to come to America and legally or illegally snag up a Social Security number. Ask President Obama all about Social Security numbers. That's a good one.
Unfucking-leavable. It's staggering.
Now, Jimmy Carter and the Democratic Party, immigrants started moving into this country and at age 65 began to receive Social Security payments. The Democratic Party gave these payments to them even though they'd never paid a dime into it.
The goddamn plane has crashed into the mountain!
In other words, they're trying to make Social Security a right for incoming immigrants. And you can't do that, folks. You can't cut somebody into the pie when they didn't even chip in on the ingredients.
Shut the fuck up! You speak when fucking spoken to, okay? This is not fucking high school, motherfucker!
They want to become legal citizens and, work a job, pay into the Social Security fund, then you can be eligible for what you paid into it. I believe. Now, after violating this original contract, the Democrats turn around and tell you that the Republicans want to take your Social Security away. And the worst part about it is that uninformed citizens actually believe this stuff.
You two are just dumb as a bag of hammers.
Oh my goodness. The Republicans don't want to take your Social Security away any more than the Democrats do. Okay? It's their money maker. That's a revenue stream. And every single one of them in Washington, as far as I'm concerned, people are going to chastise me about this, but you can throw Rand Paul and you can throw fucking Justin Amash and all our other liberty-focused guys that are actually doing good jobs for the most part. But I'm going to lump them all in there. I'm sorry, guys. Guilt by association. You might have come along just a bit too fucking late.
You're obviously confused and aroused.
It's your revenue stream. They are not about to cut down a revenue stream. And for those of you falling for these scare tactics that they're trying to push on all of you, that, they're going to take away my Social Security. They're already taking it.
You disgust me. Go on.
We pay all this money in and we don't even get but a fraction of what we pay in for supposedly for our retirement. Now, we're paying all this money in, why don't we get it back? Why do we only get a chunk of it? Why does all of a sudden the government have to double tax us on the money we already get taxed for this, for our income? And now we're getting taxed again. All our Social Security payments when we retire. So it's tax. Folks, do you not realize that this is what the Boston Tea Party was started for? Overtaxation. They have no representation to do so. I will kill you. The only representation and power that they have is what we have given them. And by saying, oh, I don't care, do whatever you want, they're going to keep continuing to do what they've been doing for 150 years. Growing their government, growing their power, growing the scope of their power, and taking from us. Government does not have power unless it takes it. Government doesn't have anything unless it takes it from somebody else. And that includes power and liberty and freedom. And guess who they're taking it from? They're not going to go around the world to take freedom away from everybody else because they don't hardly have freedom around the world. They're going to take it from us because we're the only thing. A united American republic is the only thing that stands in front of our United States government staying in power indefinitely. We're the only safeguard against it. And we're failing, folks. As the American people, our responsibility that was handed down to us by our forefathers to keep our governments from doing, they wrote a constitution for guidelines for us to say, hey, they're stepping out of line.
And here we go.
Every time they violate the Constitution and we do nothing, our forefathers roll in their graves and more of our country and freedom is lost. You're going to let them steal from us.
You stole from my kin.
Okay? I'll take a little bit of responsibility. I was getting up to that age where it was, I was legal enough to vote and could put a voice towards it and say something about it. A little bit more concerned, sex, drugs, and rock and roll at, 17, 18 years old, but hell, I'll lump myself into that blame. I let them do it just as much as you guys did. I let them do it. I let Bush do it. We're letting Obama do it. It's got to end. Because this is getting to be where the last straw is. Everybody, and Rand Paul, I'm going to tell you this right now. You stole this whole King Obama thing from me, pal. I've been saying this for 4 fucking years. Right? He's got a king complex. He wants to be king. He did not ever want to be president. He wanted to be king.
What a shitload of fuck.
His actions speak plain and clear to me.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
You don't say the things you say. You don't act that way unless that is your intention, is to be an indefinite ruler.
What will your world be without me?
Now, I'm damn sure not going to have a Queen Michelle or a Queen, whatever the hell her kids' names are. I don't even care.
What's your name, crack shower?
I really don't. I don't know their names at all.
Like Tupac Shakur with
nope.
Biggest balls.
Nope.
That guy's the Deion Sanders of retards.
Couldn't tell you. Yeah. That's how much it means to me. That's how much we don't care. Okay? Now see, I hated Jimmy Carter's guts, but I knew who his daughter's name was. Because at least it was somewhat engaging. This guy is just a complete enemy of the state. Enemy of the people.
You are one pathetic loser.
And you've all been duped.
God damn it, open your fucking ears.
We've got to come out of it, folks. We've got to come out of it. We've got to start doing something about this, or else we're just going to lose the whole country entirely. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the liberties that we have lost since 9/11, the 9/11 big scam that they pulled on us. And we're going to look at what the consequences are via Homeland Security. And we're going to let you know whether or not you may be a terrorist in the eyes of Homeland Security.
Something they like to call the booty sweat effect. Allow me to
That's right.
Take this guy, for example.
You may be a terrorist in the eyes of Homeland Security, and we're going to get to the bottom of it here in our next segment on Last Voice for Liberty Network.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Booty sweat in your mouth. Now go get yourself a mouthful of booty sweat and see what it can do for you.
Gentleman from Texas. Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's now common knowledge that federal government computers are routinely used to compare lists of 18-year-olds who get driver's licenses with those who have registered for the draft. Computer surveillance seems appropriate for 1984 and unfortunately the wave of the future. This is in spite of the fact that Social Security's and Health and Human Services computers are already being used to keep tabs on our 18 and 19-year-olds. A recent story revealed an imaginary person received a threat from the Defense Department if he did not immediately register for the draft. Two brothers 7 years ago signed a fictitious name on an ice cream parlor's list in order to get a free sundae. This list unbelievably found its way into the government's files and is now being used for monitoring our teenagers. Millions of tax dollars are spent on this type of computer surveillance, a disgusting procedure for a professed free society. The irony is that it's done by an administration that brags about its limited government philosophy. And the little condemnation we hear comes from those who would involve government in every jot and tittle of our economic lives. Why is it that it's so difficult to defend freedom consistently across the board?
Gentleman from Maryland.
The gentleman from California. Mr. Speaker, at this time I'm happy to yield 3 minutes to my good friend from Texas, Mr. Paul.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 3 minutes.
I thank the chairman for yielding, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise in support of the rule. I believe 2 days of debate on this very important issue is about as fair as you can get. I know a lot of people aren't satisfied with the rule, but I think under the circumstances it's fair, and I will support the rule. However, I'm not optimistic that much good will come out of the next 2 days of debate. I think there's a lot of mischief going on here. I see that one half of this Congress is quite capable and anxious to defend the First Amendment, and I think that's good. I see the other half of the Congress quite anxious and capable of defending the Second Amendment, and I think that's good. But it seems strange because I see these two groups coming together in a coalition to pass a bill that will undermine the First Amendment and undermine the Second Amendment. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I think that we're obligated here in the Congress to defend both the First and the Second Amendment, and not here for the purpose of undermining both amendments. We should be reminded, though, that traditionally, up until the middle part of this century, crime control was always considered a local issue. That's the way the Constitution designed it. That's the way it should be. But every day we write more laws up here building the national police force. We now have more than 80,000 bureaucrats in this country carrying guns. We are an armed society, but it's the federal government that is armed. So I think we should think seriously before we pass more laws, whether they undermine the First Amendment or whether we pass more laws undermining the Second Amendment. We don't need more federal laws. Recently, there was a study, a bipartisan study put out and chaired by Ed Meese. And he is not considered a radical libertarian. And he had a statement, and he was quoted in an editorial here in the Washington Post as to what we here in the Congress are doing with nationalizing our police force. He says the basic contention of the report, which was produced by a bipartisan group headed by former Attorney General Edward Meese, is that Congress's tendency in recent decades to make federal crimes out of offenses that have historically been state matters has dangerous implications both for the fair administration of justice and for the principle that states are something more than mere administrative districts of a national government. Along with this, we have also heard the Supreme Court Justice Rehnquist say the same thing. He says the trend to federalize crimes that traditionally have been handled in state courts threaten to change entirely the nature of our federal system. We are bound and determined to continue this trend. It looks like we are going to do it today. We are going to have a lot of rules and regulations on both the First and Second Amendment.
I'm happy to yield my friend an additional minute.
Thank you very much for that.
One additional minute.
We are bound and determined to write more rules and regulations dealing with the First and the Second Amendment, and I do not see this as a good trend. It is said today that those who want to undermine the First Amendment, that it is already established that pornography is not protected under the First Amendment. And today the goal is to make sure that depiction of violence is not protected under the First Amendment. But do you know the main causes of violence in the world throughout history has been the abuse of religion and the abuse of philosophy. So therefore, the next step, if we can limit the depiction of pornography and then violence, next it will be the limitation of the depiction of a philosophy that deals with religion or philosophy such as communism or other fascism. I say today we should move carefully and not undermine either the First or the Second Amendment. Thank you.
You got money in your pocket that I really want to blow. Swipe, swipe, swipe. From yo, hold up for a minute while I tenderize bow. Don't tell Michelle, yeah, she ain't gotta know. It ain't real healthy, so keep it on the low. I'd like to take everything you got. Yeah, girl, spread the wealth around. If I was your president for a second term, chill out at the golf course, watch the country burn. Hang out with my homies, we'll see and breathe. Cheer on occupiers, yelling corporate greed. Yelling corporate greed. Subsidized, mesmerized, Julia, look in my eyes. Girl, you need a government to carry you through life. Maxing out your EBT on diamonds and pearls. Shh, I'm on the phone with my composite girls. Handouts, you could have a handout. GOP stand down, dollar bills stand out. Complain all you want, I don't need to look good, cause you know that I'm a front for the Muslim Brotherhood. I changed my mind on the gay love thing. Campaign ain't free, you know. If I was your president for a second term, chill out at the golf course, watch the country burn. Hang out with my homies, we'll see and breathe. You won't occupiers,
and welcome back to the Last Voice for Liberty Network. I am your host, The Mouth, on the 23rd day of January 2013, folks. I gotta tell you, it's getting bad out there, and the worst part about it is the lack of knowledge presented by a lot of people. Okay, it's not a lot of people's fault. Well, actually it is. It's your own damn fault. In the age of information, ignorance is actually a choice, folks. If you want to stay ignorant of these things, you can. But being ignorant of it on its own is not an excuse anymore. You can't be ignorant of it because they're not telling you things, because there are people like us that are out trying to tell you these things. We've been telling you for a very long time not to take anything that the mainstream media says to you as serious or fact, for that matter.
No, it's bullshit, bro.
Because they don't tell you a lot of the story. And when they don't tell you a lot of the story and don't tell you a lot of the facts, you are left in ignorance. Now, with the information that's available online, ignorance is your choice. It takes a few minutes to check up on a story, folks. Just a few. Albeit it's very hard sometimes once you get into finding out what the story is and checking on the story, then sometimes you start to dig deeper. And you'll find the rabbit hole goes very deep.
I love jello pudding pop.
And it's been going deep since 9/11. We've lost so many liberties since 9/11, it's ridiculous. Through the enactment of the Patriot Act and of course, laws like NDAA, subsequent executive orders and such, essential rights and freedoms that were once guaranteed to all individuals have been substantially degraded, all right? Many Americans don't realize that the significance of what we have lost. The resulting expansion of government powers and the erosion of the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights and freedoms have transformed the United States into a police state. We are under lock and key, folks. We'll go through these by the amendment, okay? The freedom of speech. Now, the Patriot Act broadly expands the official definition of terrorism so that many domestic groups that engage in nonviolent civil disobedience could very well find themselves labeled as terrorists. And they are. We'll get to that here shortly. Now, the government may now prosecute librarians or keepers of any other records that they reveal if they reveal that the government requested information on their clients or members in the course of an investigation. It's become a crime for these individuals to try and safeguard your privacy or to tell you that you're under investigation. They will this doesn't stop at librarians or keepers of any other records, medical records or anything like that. Folks, they can call up your boss and say, hey, ask him a bunch of questions, and then tell him, all right, you can't tell him that we called and talked to you, or we will prosecute you. That's a suppression of the freedom of speech. That's saying you can't say something. That's bullshit. First Amendment, freedom of association. Okay? Government agents may now monitor the First Amendment protective activities of religious and political institutions, and then infiltrate these groups with no suspicion of criminal activity. Now, this is a return to domestic spying on law-abiding religious and political groups. That's all it is. It's a government seed in there to see what the hell you're all doing. It's Big Brother watching you, folks. You may now be subject of a government investigation simply because of the political activist or advocacy groups that you're involved in, or the statements that you make within these groups. That's right. They can come with the NDAA. They can come and lock you up, throw away the key, and not tell you why. Not even charge you. Not let a group of your peers decide whether or not you're an evil person. It's up to Mr. High Office. He'll decide who's guilty and who's not. The king. Good Lord, people.
I'm the chucklehead.
Our First Amendment right to access government information. The U.S. Department of Justice directive actively encourages federal, state, and local officials to resist and or limit access to government records through the Freedom of Information Act requests. I got a report the other day. A guy sent me a picture. They were trying to get a Freedom of Information Act request about, I'm trying to remember the subject. It might even have been 9/11 or something like that. It took months of them to deny it. Finally, they said, okay. And so they gave him a 28-page report, and half the pages were literally blacked out. One whole page that he got in this report was nothing but black ink, folks. All the words have been blacked out. What good is having a request for freedom of information if they go, okay, here it is, here's the report you wanted to see, and they black out everything, black out half of it? That's not freedom of information. That's handing somebody, that's a waste of fucking paper, number one, and that's handing somebody a big, it's saying a big fuck you to everyone. Here you go, wise ass. See how you like this? I'm just giving you a blackboard that's going to black out all over. Here's the information you wanted, but we're going to black it out so you can't fucking read it. That's what kind of asshole fucking move is that?
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, giant twerp, scumbag,
the government
face, dickhead,
conducted
asshole.
Immigration hearings in secret behind closed doors. Such proceedings were once open to the public, folks. Hundreds, if not thousands, of immigrants have now already been deported in secret or imported in secret.
Dios mío, man.
Yeah, didn't think about that now, did you? Hey, door swings both ways, folks.
Oh, that dream didn't work out too good now, did it?
Could you get your daddy on the phone?
We'll move on to our Fourth Amendment, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures. Now, law enforcement authorities may now conduct secret searches and wiretaps in your home or office without showing any probable cause. Now, I'm sure they're listening to me right damn now. They need only to claim that intelligence gathering is a significant purpose of their intrusion, even when the primary goal is ordinary law enforcement. They may also monitor where and to whom you send and receive email, and they can also read them now. Where you go to on the internet, recording every email address and website that you've been in contact with. Law enforcement may now demand any personal records held by any source, including your doctor, employer, accountant, or a library. Look what books you check out. All they have to do is claim that it's related to an investigation into terrorism. The record keepers may not reveal that your records were provided to the government. They may not. They're not allowed to. Under prosecution of law. Under threats. What?
Are you threatening me, son?
Where do you draw the line between trying to protect people from terrorists by being a terrorist?
That's the Democrats for you.
Judicial oversight of secret searches has been effectively minimalized. All right, the Patriot Act directs judges to consent to secret searches based only on the government's assertion that a significant purpose of an investigation is gathering information related to terrorism, as the government defines terrorism.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's a blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment. Our Fourth Amendment right, folks. Blatant. Our Fifth Amendment right to due process and freedom from being held with no charge. Americans can now be jailed without formal charge and without the right to confront the witnesses or evidence against them. American citizens are now being held in military jails without charge and without a clear path of appeal for their indefinite confinement. Hundreds of Arab, Muslim, and South Asian men were rounded up in the Ashcroft raids following September 11th and held for weeks without charges until all were cleared of terrorism charges. They just went round people up.
I've been hornswallowed.
Our Sixth Amendment right to legal representation has been violated. Hundreds of U.S. residents have been detained for months at a time, denied access to the advice and advocacy of an attorney. The government may now monitor conversations between attorneys and clients in federal jails.
Let me tell you why I suck.
What possible right or how can you even expect to have a fair trial? You're supposed to be able to expect a fair trial. But how can you? If the government's allowed to listen to everything. Then I suppose they'll decide what's admissible, won't they? Isn't that how it works? The Bush administration, folks, actually filed papers in court arguing that an American citizen held in a military jail without charge should be denied access to legal counsel because no such access would interfere with the process of his interrogation. Excuse me? There's no reason for you not to be able to have legal counsel. We're guaranteed that right in the Constitution. We're also guaranteed a right to a speedy and public trial, but the U.S. government may now jail residents and citizens indefinitely without charge and without a public trial.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Come on. When are we going to wake up? When is this going to be enough? Do you need some more? How about our 8th Amendment, freedom from cruel and unusual punishments? Anybody been thinking about that one lately? Because the U.S. government has taken into custody as individuals that they identify as material witnesses, transported them across the country, and held them for months in solitary confinement without charges or contact with their family. Now, according to the Justice Department's own Inspector General, immigrant men that were rounded up in the Ashcroft raids following September 11th and held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn were subjected to a pattern of physical and verbal abuses. We've all seen the pictures from Guantanamo where they stacked them up naked like that. Why? Folks, I've been around quite some time, and I've seen a lot of kinky and disgusting things in my travels. I don't understand a lot of it. I don't understand the peeing fetishes in Europe and things like that. I don't understand it. But then again, you know, I'm a guy that says, hey, if that's what floats your boats, you know, go get peed on all you want. Don't expect me to do it, but whatever. I've never seen, and maybe this has something to do with their religion or things like that as to why the degradation happened. Why would they stack them up naked like that? That's just, I mean, a woman stand there like she's got a trophy. They're still a person, you know. It's just the whole golden rule, folks. I try to live by do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because instant karma is a bitch and it will get you. So let's take these guys in and torture them. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the whole story. I just don't understand. Okay, I really don't. We'll continue on here, folks. We're going to get to our 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment right to equal protection. Over 82,000 men from Arab, Muslim, and South Asian countries registered with the government under the Special Registration Program. Over 13,000 of those are now in deportation proceedings, but none have been charged. I'm all in agreement, folks. If I have to say that if there's a threat, and these guys are related to or found in collusion with terrorist, actual violent organizations that want to attack and kill American citizens, get them out of the country, okay? But charge them. Say, hey, look, your buddies are involved with this. And this has openly said they want to kill American citizens. Therefore, you're guilty by association. We're kicking you out of our country. Come out and say it. Be flat out honest with the people. Why is that so goddamn hard? I guarantee you, you come out and you say, these guys haven't done anything wrong yet, but they are in contact and connected, maybe in name only, or maybe as a family member or something, to people that have said, so we're going to kick them out of the country. Do you think that the American people would say, no, don't kick the bad guys out of our country, please?
Hey, don't let the door hit you in the vagina on the way out.
The only reason they got to, that 9/11 even happened in the first place, was because our government let it happen. Or wanted it to happen if they weren't even in on it, okay? That's the only way, folks. We have the best security, flight security in the entire world. We have the largest army and military in the entire world. Our military is second to none. We outspend on our military, you know, what, 20 times more? Or maybe not 20 times, but, you know, 12, 15 times more than the next highest country on the planet, China, on our military. And you're going to tell me that all of a sudden these guys, we can sustain this coordinated attack by 4 or 5 different places, and there's nothing that we could have done about it. Yeah, right. Where's the footage from the plane hitting the Pentagon? You know why it's getting all scrubbed? Because no plane ever hit the fucking Pentagon.
It's an even longer story.
Just the damage to the Pentagon itself right after it happened does not support any fact that of the plane that they say hit. Okay? It's impossible. The Pentagon was shot at by a missile. Okay, that's all there is to it.
Listen here, you beautiful bitch. I'm about to fuck you up with some truth.
It was a big false flag attack set to put things like this into law. Scaring the American people, saying, oh, we need security, so we're going to have to take just a little bit of your freedoms. You'll be all right with that, so then everybody will be safe, right? Well, anyone who trades liberty for security deserves neither liberty nor security. And right now, folks, if you live in the United States, the chances are the government thinks that you might be a terrorist already. The Federal Bureau of Investigations has routinely released their Communities Against Terrorism advisory in the form of flyers that encourage the public to report suspicious activity, something which the Department of Homeland Security has heavily promoted under their See Something, Say Something citizen spying program. There's more of them divisional tactics, turning us against each other, making everyone scared, and then thinking, oh, well, that guy might be a terrorist. Now, through releasing these flyers, the FBI has effectively made most of the activities possible indicators of terrorism. Many of these are so innocuous, it's almost laughable to think of them as hints of terrorist activities. These are intended to make the people of the United States live in a constant state of fear, folks, constantly on the lookout for non-existent terrorists lurking behind every corner. It also helps create a culture of citizen spying, in which neighbors are reporting each other for what would otherwise never be considered noteworthy activities. Thus, it makes it much easier for the government to track down supposed dissidents, since just about everything they do is likely to be considered suspicious when applying all this absurd guidelines promoted by the FBI. An article on Activist Post ran down some of these flyers and the supposedly suspicious activities which they bring to the public's attentions, and when one reads all of these 25 flyers, it becomes clear that just about everything could be considered an indicator of possible terrorist activities. The most consistent thing amongst the many flyers is the demonization of anyone attempting to maintain a degree of privacy. Okay? Now, essentially, if you demand privacy in nearly any situation, okay, and the employees have been brainwashed by government propaganda, it is likely the case that they'll be highly suspicious, even when it's completely unwarranted. Now, however, you should also be regarded as suspicious if you ask too many questions about just about anything, according to the FBI. Now, apparently, you can't either be curious or demand that your privacy be respected. Another factor that's consistently regarded as suspicious is if customers have traveled a long distance, meaning that you might be involved in terrorist activities if you ever go on vacation, or if you're sent to go speak at another plant that your company owns across the country. You could be suspected of being a terrorist. You came all the way from California and you're in New York? You might be a terrorist. Don't come near me, terrorist. You're Al-Qaeda. I'm going to deport you. It's ridiculous, folks. They also target people with any beliefs whatsoever, as being politically active or religious has apparently become an indicator of possible terrorist activity. For instance, a flyer was given to places specializing in martial arts and paintball. It said that one should be suspicious if an individual makes comments regarding anti-U.S. radical theology or makes vague or cryptic warnings. Now, these terms are never actually defined in whole, which is another problem with a lot of these laws. They're so open-ended that to leave these lawmakers chances to just add to the law as they go on. That's pretty much it. We don't like the way you're doing it. We can't really find any dirt on you. as our law is standing right now, but since it's so open as to what terrorism could be, we can pretty much pin anything on it and call it terrorism. It's their choice. It's their decision. Nervousness is apparently another potential indicator of terrorist activity, as if people wouldn't be nervous the first time they attended a martial arts class or played paintball. More consistent factors is the supposed suspiciousness of altering one's appearance, even with ways as simple as shaving a beard or changing one's hair color, which happens to happen all the time. But now that's suspicious activity too, folks. Most of these flyers also incorporate distance in one way or another, which is especially ridiculous when it comes to internet cafes, because many people use internet cafes while traveling. If they don't want to go through the hassle of lugging a computer with them on vacation, or going up and waiting for the hotel thing to get on, and somehow the FBI actually thinks that this is suspicious. Paying with cash this is the big one here for me, folks, because I hate banks. I do. I refuse to put any of my money in banks. My money is kept in a secured location under lock and key with armed guard. But a bank doesn't have it. I do pay for a lot of things, pretty much everything I can in cash. But that seems to be a consistent factor amongst all of these flyers as well, as it seems that the government believes we should actually be a cashless society. Okay, now it only makes sense because it's much easier to track an individual's activities if they're recorded through a credit or debit card. Where cash, it's not easily traced. They got to actually do some work to find you that. All this together paints a disturbing picture of a government that's so deeply paranoid that it seeks to instill this nonsensical paranoia in every single person in the United States. It's becoming increasingly clear that the people of the United States are the enemy to the government. With domestic military and law enforcement drills on the rise, the passage of legislation that allows American citizens to be held indefinitely without charge or trial, like we were just talking about, the assassination of American citizens with no justification whatsoever, let alone any due process, and the increasing use of drones domestically, folks. The criminalization of all of our children, so much more of this. We're the enemy to the government. I told you, we're the ones that stand in the way between them and ultimate supremacy. Now, unless the people of the United States, and that means all of us, begin to push back against this wave of tyranny, it's only going to continue to expand and get considerably worse, as long as we continue to let it happen. We've got to stop letting it happen.
Look, Fuckstick, I'm incredibly busy, so why don't you get the hell out of here before I snap your dick off and jam it into your ass.
So paranoid and so into trying to divide us and get us into this culture of citizen spying and pervasive paranoia, it's gotten to absolute absurdity, folks. Many American people are nonsensically seem to continue to treat it like it's gospel, like it's well, the government says it must be right. According to a document entitled Terrorism Awareness and Prevention, a participant guide distributed by the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, almost every single action should be treated as suspicious. And this is where it starts to get goofy, folks. These include glances, wide open eyes, cold penetrating stares, trance-like gazes, exaggerated yawning when engaged in conversation, protruding or beating neck arteries, repetitive touching of the face, tugging on or covering the ears, increased breathing rates, panting, excessive fidgeting, clock watching, head turning, pacing or jumpiness, trembling, unusual perspiration, goosebumps, and or rigid posture with minimal body movements and arms close to the sides. In other words, if you're late for something or in a rush, aka excessive fidgeting and clock watching, you might be a terrorist. If you've been exercising with that'll give you an increased breathing rate and cause a little bit of panting or protruding and beating neck arteries, folks, you might be a terrorist. Now, on the other hand, if you're tired with a trance-like gaze or exaggerated yawning, you might also be a terrorist. But yet, if you're energetic or perhaps you drank a little bit too much coffee, You have the wide open flashbulb eyes, or you're pacing or a little bit jumpy, trembling, little unusual perspiration or excessive fidgeting, you might also be a terrorist. You better not be too energetic, too tired, in a rush, plagued by a wide range of medical conditions, returning from exercise, or generally display almost any bodily behaviors, as someone might consider you a suspicious person and report you for possible terrorist activity. But it does not stop there! Other suspicious activities when it comes to vehicles are unusual behavior, which is defined, undefined, totally undefined, and could mean just about anything. Signs of fear or stress, or refusal or disregard of directions. You're not going to follow instructions, and you might be a terrorist. It gets even more insane when they go over signs which make a vehicle itself suspicious, okay? These include unusual items clearly visible inside or attached to the outside of the vehicle, stopped or parked in strange or out-of-place locations, parked close to an agency assets such as terminals, rail lines, and bridges. They have missing or altered license plates, or the vehicle is visibly overloaded or saggy. This means that the ultimate potential terrorist might be someone who has a brand new truck with temporary tags, overloaded with paint removal equipment, or anything else unusual, with an off-road driving kit on the outside, which happens to be stopped in an out-of-place location, perhaps in order to go hiking, or maybe park near a bridge, perhaps to remove graffiti. I keep in mind that myself and most, I'm sure most other thinking people could come up with hundreds of different situations to fit all the above criteria, but are wholly innocuous. Any unexpected mail from a foreign country should be treated as suspicious, folks, along with any packages and restrictive markings like personal or confidential, and anything which is poorly printed with excessive tape or string, or any misspelled names, among other laughable indicators of suspicion. When you go on to more ridiculous examples of suspicious activities, or people who are drawing or taking pictures in areas not normally of interest, taking notes or annotating maps, or even just sitting in a parked vehicle. Now, about the rest of the country around here, some guys when they go to their lunch break, like to go down by the river, sit, listen to the radio, eat their lunch, read some paper. They're not doing anything wrong. They're eating their fucking lunch. Some of these choice tools used by terrorists, according to the FBI for surveillance, according to the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security as well, are cameras, video, still or panoramic cameras, laptop computers or PDAs, diagrams or maps, binoculars or other vision-enhancing devices, and GPS devices are now considered terrorist tools. Apparently, the government even considers staring or quickly looking away from personnel and vehicles entering parking areas or leaving designated facilities to be indicators of possible terrorist activity. Somehow the corner of your eye moves, you get a look, oh, no, nothing, I don't care, and turn back away, you're a terrorist. Somebody better report you right away. Now, the document encourages people not only to report everything they see, and they make a point of emphasizing that, but staying alert is not paranoia. Contrary to all the information they give previously, they claim no one is asking for block wardens who log every activity in the neighborhood or workplace. No one wants you to spy on people. This isn't about informing on disloyal Americans or people who are different or don't fit in. That is, of course, unless you display any of the massive list of behaviors which marks you as a possible terrorist. Hilariously, folks, it's not really that funny, but it's so, you gotta laugh at how stupid it is. They even claim that if a UPS truck drives down a street 3 times during the holidays, and they have several delivery trucks making different deliveries, it might be a terrorist. They cite Timothy McVeigh, who allegedly rented a truck to carry out the Oklahoma City bombing, even though Timothy McVeigh's vehicle was allegedly a rented Ryder truck, and not a UPS truck, which is obviously not available for public rental, but yet they cite UPS trucks in their flyers. So, if you're a UPS driver, I want you, and you're hearing this program, I want you to take into account that if you're lost or trying to find a parking spot in a truck, you better be aware of the fact that someone might report you as a potential terrorist. With this culture of voluntary surveillance that's expanding over the world, smartphones especially, it's only going to be easier for the government to encourage people to report any and all activities as suspicious and potential indicators of terrorism. I say we fight back. Well, we're already promoting filming the police officers and government officials. Let's film them all the time. We need to spy on them. That's who we need to keep our tabs on, not each other.
We will not be silent. We will not obey. We will not let our government destroy.
So they want is us turned against each other.
We will not wait another moment in fear to stand up for what we know to be right. It is time we start meeting oppression with resistance.
And that's what they're after. That's how they stay in power, folks. That is exactly how they will continue to oppress us continuously. It's the same thing over and over again. And we're falling for it. Going to get on out of here today, folks, for the Albino Raccoon. I want to say have a great Wednesday today. We will be back again tomorrow with more news, more information, more stuff that I think you need to know here on The Last Voice for Liberty Network.
When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. The utmost manifestation of love and devotion to America is today, as it always has been, resistance of tyranny.